Welcome back to That Fitness Couple podcast, where we talk about lifting weights and eating meat so you can have a body that feels and functions fantastically.
Let's go!
We are Mike and Corey Beth Lepowski, founders of PHYSIQUE, a boutique fitness studio franchise, and proponents of resistance training and a high-protein, animal-based approach to eating. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about what happens when you diet without exercise.
Yeah, well, and I think most people will approach this because they want to lose weight, correct? And I think it's very important, first and foremost, to say that weight loss does not necessarily mean better health.
Not at all. And I think the thing that drives me nuts is when we are driving through, say, a little shopping mall area and I see a big sign, doctor-led weight loss center. And usually what that conjures up in people's minds are, it's a doctor, it must be more effective than regular diet, and it's probably going to happen fast. But how many times have we seen that those programs are often built on starvation diets, things like, what was it, Medifast, right?
Yes.
Medifast, wasn't that developed by doctors, which was like the equivalent of just starvation food?
Can we just call out the elephant in the room? I mean, everybody sees the studies that are coming out on this shot that a lot of people took 3-4 years ago. And there's a lot of weird health things that are happening, but we had to follow the science and we had to listen to the doctors. And I'm just going to say, like, there's a lot of greed and evil being uncovered in Washington, as well as around the world right now. Like, there are doctors out there that do not have your best health interest first.
We're going there already.
We are. Let's just get in deep and hot and ready. Like, let's just go there, because you know what? It's like people, I see it all the time, and it probably is my Instagram feed because that's what I look at. There are doctors that do care deeply, just like there's humans that care deeply about your success, just like there's personal trainers that just care about making money and they don't actually care about your success. It is so important to look for not just how much weight am I going to lose, because that really is people's biggest hope, right? Let me lose lots of weight. It's how long am I going to keep this off? And when I look at the people that are in our program doing resistance training and eating a high protein way of eating nutrition, they keep the weight off. When we look at these people that go and work with a medical doctor and they eat 800 calories a day, which you might as well starve yourself, and then they put the weight back on, was that worth it? Was that worth it to crush your metabolism? Was that worth it to have no energy, have your hair fall out, whatever plethora of side effects end up happening? Like, was that worth it? And I really do think, like, there's doctors that think maybe they're doing a good thing or the right thing, but these people have no muscle mass. They end up skinny fat, they end up weak, they end up becoming frail. And it's stuff like this that really upsets me. And when I think back to our interview that we had with Dr. Kevin Gendreau, who does GLP-1s in his practice, the first thing he says to people is, you're going to have to exercise and you're going to have to change your diet. He goes, and by the second meeting, half the people have left his office because that's not what people want. And so it's like, if we just stop offering these quick fixes to people, like making them think you don't have to exercise, you don't have to do anything, just eat nothing and take this pill or take this shot, people end up in a really terrible place. And I think a lot of people don't realize how terrible it's going to be, but I can't help but think that these doctors know where these people end up and that it's not great long term.
I don't think a lot of them do. I'm just going to be straight up. I don't think a lot of them do, for the simple reason that they are not brought up learning about nutrition in medical school. Nutrition is not part of the deal. It's usually a one semester course, if that. And usually within that semester course, maybe they're reading a study or possibly two. And it's whatever is being purported at the time. We also could get deep into, but we're not going to, how even in those education academies that they're learning from, most of the education is coming directly from big food, right? They're the ones who are sponsoring the departments that are teaching or educating the future doctors of America, or even nutritionists, dietitians. And that's where there's a problem. But that's a conversation for another day. What I want to talk a little bit more about first is that we are not on a witch hunt, despite what Corey Beth sounds like right now, to demonize every doctor out there. But where I was really expressing my displeasure is that there are many doctors who will sit behind the DR in front of their name, and people trust that. So they go and they take part in these programs which are not designed to have them lose weight in a healthy way, at the end of the day, we shouldn't even be talking about weight loss. We should be talking about fat
Well, I
loss.
think it goes back to the first thing I said. Weight loss does not mean better health.
Correct.
So I'm not far off from where you were trying to go with this episode today.
No, you're not far off, but I knew you were coming in today a little on fire and wanting to, you know, really go after the man today. So I'm just going to try to bring us a little bit back to center here.
Well, let's talk then a little bit about why we don't want to lose weight through diet only.
Okay. Now, you hear it all the time because you are typically one of the first points of contact for anybody who is thinking about joining our program.
That's why I'm on fire.
And what those people will typically say is something along the effect of, well, you know what? I was thinking maybe I should lose some weight first before I come in. And you hear this again, people thinking about joining a gym. I think I want to lose some weight first before joining the gym. And it
Why do you
has
think people say that?
well, I think there's 2 reasons. I think number 1, there is the social reason, that being that they feel uncomfortable with how they look, and if they look a little bit better, they'll feel more comfortable going to the gym.
Mhm.
I think we are at a day and age where so many people realize there are so many benefits beyond just weight loss and looking sexy that nobody cares what you look like when you enter the gym. It's more like this person is trying to do something to take care of themselves. So I respect that. Despite how they may look right now, we also know that person can look dramatically different a year from now. So
What's the second reason you would say then that people want to lose weight before they come in? Because I think it's just the first. I don't know that there's a second.
I do think there is a second, and it has less to do with how they feel and more about building momentum. And if we just look back to why would a doctor tell a person, don't exercise right now, just do this diet and lose some weight and then begin exercising? The reason why they do that is because they know that that person can quite easily lose weight, and some of it will be muscle mass if they go on some type of starvation diet, or in today's case, GLP-1s. They could do a GLP-1 shot, start eating far less, immediately start to see their weight drop off. However, we know that 50% of the weight, if not more, that they're going to lose is going to be muscle mass. And it drives me nuts when people feel like they need to, again, build momentum just with their diet before starting to exercise. And I think a lot of that too is because the exercise they know they should be doing is resistance training. And I think that some more well-versed people when it comes to weight loss will recognize that, well, if I'm building muscle while losing body fat, then my weight's not going to change. And they're so caught up on the weight that they
Mm.
don't want to disrupt that.
No, I agree with you. And at the end of the day, I think that there's a lot of miseducation when it comes to what a doctor views then as exercise. Because again, when you're putting a patient on an 800 calorie a day diet, which is far below someone's even basal metabolic rate, which is basically like what you burn to like just live on a day to day basis. They don't want them going and doing lots of cardio and they're burning, hundreds of calories because these people are probably going to be absolutely starving. Like they almost want their body to be good just starving on food because once you introduce exercise from like an extraneous cardio perspective, it's too much of a caloric burn, right? Whereas if doctors are more educated that A, there's different types of exercise, and B, resistance training is the optimal form of exercise to do in partnership with some type of a diet for fat loss, I think a lot of doctors would actually prescribe that. Like, you should go do this because what are the calories you actually burn in the moment of a resistance training exercise?
It's actually not that much.
It's like 90 to 150 calories,
Yeah.
right? It's like
I mean,
nothing.
it's very little, and you get a little bit of the afterburn effect where in the hours following, you might have an elevated metabolic rate and burn an additional 90 to 100 calories. But when you take all of it into consideration, it's not that
Which
much.
is why people should be doing it. So really the reason I came fired up here today are a lot of reasons, but the most prevalent call that we've been getting in our studios is no longer the like, let me go lose some weight before I come in. But I do think that that has 100% psychological component. I mean, I didn't want to go to the gym when I felt fat and disgusting and everything else. So I understand that. I'm not saying it's not a reason. I'm saying that I think it's a confidence issue. right? But what people don't realize is when you're in the gym, nobody's actually looking at you. And if you still think people are looking at you, you're wrong. They're not looking at you. They're worrying about themselves. Like everyone is so introspectively focused
Everybody's
in the
so
gym.
narcissistic today that they're only looking at themselves.
They're not looking at you. Like, just go do the workout. You don't have to look a certain way to walk into a gym. Like the fact that you walked in, kudos to you. You did it. Hey, we hope you're enjoying our show and finding it valuable. If you could do us a quick favor, it would mean the world to us. Please take a moment to rate and review our podcast on your favorite platform. Your reviews help us reach more people and share our message. Plus, we'd love to hear your feedback. Thanks for being awesome and supporting us. Now, back to the show. But back to the whole doctor perspective, like if they knew what resistance training did, they would recommend it because the second call that we constantly get is I got on Wegovy. I got on GLP-1. Like I'm on this now. I'm down 40, 50, 65 pounds. And now I need to build some muscle. And that drives me nuts because my first question is, well, why are you calling us now? Well, I'm feeling really weak. One woman yesterday was literally like, I'm so weak. I was so strong my whole life. And now I'm so weak. I can barely walk up the stairs in her second floor house. I'm like, did your doctor tell you to call or did you realize? She's like, oh, no, no, I just feel so weak. So I'm calling. Like doctors are not telling people, and I'll give credit to some, but some are telling their patients, hey, you really need to go do resistance training. You need to go build muscle. You need to go preserve your muscle mass. Like kudos to those doctors because the ones that are not are doing a huge disservice to these people.
It's the difference between having short-term and long-term vision. And in a lot of these instances, the individual, the one who is taking the GLP-1 or following the doctor-led diet, they are so fixated on how fast they want to lose weight and what they need to do right now that they're not considering long-term implications such as, well, what will happen if I lose this weight fast? It's that misunderstanding that the weight that you're losing is only body fat. I mean, if I have 100 pounds to lose, well, surely everything that comes off when I jump on that scale is going to be fat. But the truth of the matter is, it's not. You have this muscle tissue. You're going to lose it if you're not doing something to preserve it. It's a little sad to me that somebody has to get to the point where they're feeling incredibly weak, even though to them they may be reaching their ideal weight. Like those two things don't correlate. Like,
Yeah.
let me just stop there. If you are at your ideal body weight, and I'm not saying totally stripped down, six pack abs, just what's ideal for you walking around and being healthy, there is no way that you should feel weaker and more tired than you did when you were 10, 20, 50 pounds heavier. That
Mm.
shouldn't happen. We should be putting resistance training at the start of what we focus on and then introducing some of these other things. Because I'll say this, even for the person who does the starvation diet, that person, if they had amassed a certain amount of muscle prior to doing that, they are actually, even though we're never going to recommend somebody do a starvation diet, they're going to at least be approaching that situation with muscle tissue to burn, so to speak.
Yeah.
We really don't have muscle tissue to burn, but you get what I'm saying.
Well, and listen, like it really grieves me because I see so many people, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and it's the difference between people who carry muscle mass and the people who don't is vastly different. Their face is different, their jaw is different, their posture is different, the way they walk is different. It's literally the difference for some people between like limping and not being hunched over or standing up straight, being able to be active and alive and like having great vitality in their life versus not. It is so obvious and apparent. And I think what most people don't realize is it's not some are happy and some are not, some are wealthy and some are not, some are this and some are not, some have and some don't. It's muscle.
And what happens is when you lose that muscle, especially if you are an individual who is 40 plus and you're now getting on these GLP-1s or you're trying your 20th diet and it's another Weight Watchers or MetaFast type approach, and you're just trying to starve yourself of calories, then you're going to find it incredibly difficult to put that muscle back on once it's lost. And once it's lost, you've dramatically impacted your metabolism, and it's going to be really difficult to recover from that. And that's why I think so many people have their priorities backwards. It's like, let me focus on the weight loss and then I'll get to exercise. It's like, no, 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 no. Get to exercise, specifically resistance train, build muscle, and you can simultaneously work on your weight loss.
Mm.
However, it is going to be a slower process. And this is just where we get back to people's mindsets and their perspectives and how they approach this.
Oh man, I'm thinking about this and I'm like, okay, all of these drug companies are able to get into doctors' offices and hospitals and talk about, yeah, you got to carry this, you got to carry this. It's like, how do we get into the same offices and hospitals? And we're like, you have to resistance train. I don't care that we don't get a benefit from it. Like, I care about the people's long term health, longevity. And it was episodes back, we had Casey Means's brother, Callie Means, on, and is doing awesome things with his company, TrueMed, where he's basically putting pre-tax dollars into people's health and not just sickness. And so there's definitely a change right now, I would say, in the political landscape and everywhere else where we are caring about our health. Because honestly, I don't care where you stand on the political spectrum, and it really doesn't matter where I stand either. It's when you look around and you look at our country, go to Walmart, go to Disney World, go to the local mall. Like, people are not healthy. People are not vibrant. People are not thriving. Like, go to the hospitals and look at the stats. Go in the schools and look at the kids. Like, it is really a freaking sad story, America, of where we are as people. And I want to talk specifically about weight loss on GLP-1s and muscle loss. And I just want to read this. So this is super interesting for someone who's considering going on, because I also talk to a lot of those people too. I'm like, listen, give us 90 days before you make the decision. Like, once you go on the GLP-1, you're going to have to stay on it. But if you do this first, if you do some resistance training, if we increase your protein first, you can always decide to go on it later. And I mean, that's how we get a lot of people that realize they can make great strides with this alone. So basically, how a GLP-1 works, which is your Ozempic, Wegovy, Zepbound, is it'll mimic a GLP-1 hormone, which basically reduces your appetite. So digestion is slowed, your appetite is slowed. I kind of think of that movie Zootopia, where they go to the DMV and everyone's a sloth. Like, that's basically your insides. Everything's just really slow. Now, the crazy thing is that people will lose a significant amount of weight. And of course, there's the lower risk for diabetes complications, which it is a diabetes medication. But some of the side effects of it are nausea, vomiting, constipation, gastroenteritis, rare thyroid tumor risk. I didn't know about that one, but that muscle loss still happens. So even on GLP-1s without exercise, much of weight loss can be lean mass, and then there becomes a dependency on the drug. Now, this fact stood out to me more than anything else, and it's that if you stop the drug, there is a quick regain. About half of the weight lost comes back in the first 20 weeks, and two-thirds back within the first year.
Well, we've seen that. We've
Yeah.
seen it with clients of ours who have gone on it and were on a nice downward trend as far as their weight loss was concerned. And then they came off. And the problem is because if you're not addressing the underlying issue, right, the root cause, which is your food choices, your other lifestyle choices, then you're making it really difficult for you to keep that weight off. In addition to the exercise discussion, there are all these other sub discussions about how are you sleeping? What is your choice of food? Are you getting enough protein? You know, are you staying focused on this on a daily basis? Are you limiting your alcohol consumption? Or are you just using this as another way to live the life you want to live and get the result that you want to get at the same time, even though those two things do not really work together?
Well, it doesn't work in any other facet of human life. It's kind of like the person that's like, I want a budget, but I'm not going to look at my credit card statement. Like, I want to save money, but I'm going to keep going to TJ Maxx and everywhere else and online shopping. Like, you can't live the life you want to live without accountability.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I think that when we get down to it, if there's a message that I hope people get from this, or maybe you need to share this message with someone else, is that if you are really focused on losing weight, number one, change your perspective. Take it out of the realm of losing weight and focus on losing fat because that is at the crux of the issue. It's not your body weight because So many of us come naturally in different shapes and sizes and have different potentials as it results with how low we could get our body fat percentage, but also how much muscle mass that we can build. And all of those, along with a number of different factors, are what dictates our body weight. Your body weight may not ever get down to the number that you hope to see it at, but maybe naturally you're not intended to be at that number. So take your focus off of that. The next thing should be that you want to build as much muscle as possible now, today, no matter how old you are, if you've weight trained before or you're just beginning. Your goal from now until the day you leave this earth is to put on as much muscle as possible, because that is what's going to drive your ability to function later in life, as well as maintain a healthy weight.
Well, and I think the focus needs to come off of my weight and the focus needs to be put on my body's composition. Like, what is your body actually made of is more important than what is your body weigh. And there's so many analogies that I could give for that, but I think that that's important. And I do really want to point back to the first comment I made. I know it's definitely going to ruffle feathers. I know some people are not going to be happy about it. I know Mike kind of cringed when I went there right away,
I
but
don't cringe. You have to
okay.
do a lot more to make me cringe
Okay,
than
well,
than
somebody
that.
cringed. And to the person that cringed, it's like at the end of the day, understand that not everyone has your best interests at heart. And it's not necessarily that that person is bad or evil. It's just we have to take information where it's coming from. And we look historically at a lot of the health, quote unquote, information that's been handed down by our government. There was a time where cigarettes were recommended by your doctor. There was a time where low fat was purported by your doctor, but eat all the sugar you want. I mean, we are realizing how absolutely backwards that information is and was. And when I look at some of the health issues that we randomly and unexpectedly and suddenly are having right now, I can't help but think it's strange. And I understand that causation does not always mean correlation. Our biggest message and our biggest take home that we want you to walk away with here today is resistance training is one of the best things that you can physically do for your body that also has hormonal benefits, mental wellness benefits, longevity benefits, cardiovascular benefits, appetite benefits. I mean, we didn't even talk about that partnered with a high protein diet basically does the same thing as a GLP-1, by the way. So you can do the natural version. And that's what I say to people on the phone. This is a more natural approach to doing this medical intervention, which again, medical interventions typically mean you have to stay on the medical intervention. So look at the big picture of your own life. The doctor may be looking at the short term, I could get you down 50 pounds in the next 6 months. Guys, that sounds great, but understand what that's going to look like when you get there, when you're taking information from someone who had very little training in nutrition and probably none in exercise. Love going to the doctor with Mike. All my doctors always want to ask Mike about exercise and resistance training. I'm like, shut up. This is my appointment, not his, not yours. Like, we're here for me and I'm going to have a baby. Stop asking about exercising. But it's just
She's
because,
not going to have a baby right
no,
now,
no,
by
no,
the
no.
way.
That was an old appointment.
Okay.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify. Thanks. Thanks for clarifying my clarification. But understand where the information is coming from and look at the long-term implications of what it is that you are looking to approach and understand there's always a natural way to do it. It may not be as fast as you want it to be, but the truth is when we do things in a safe and healthy way, they end up lasting longer than when we do things quickly.
Let's go.